Last night, something happened that I still can't even find the right words to properly explain, and my brain is struggling to fully comprehend the fact that this is reality that we're living in, but I'm gonna try my best to do so in today's video. Last night was, of course, one of the few times that I've fallen asleep early on a weekend because I've been feeling a bit sick and wanted to be responsible and get some rest, so of course that's the time when the overseers of the NBA decide to make what could arguably go down as the worst trade that we'll ever see in a very long time. I'm talking, of course, about the trade that went down between the Lakers, Mavericks, and Jazz that was highlighted by the fact that the Mavs and Lakers pretty much swapped Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis, and in this video, we'll be going through each side of the trade, trying our best to analyze why it happened, what it means for the teams down the line, why it was such a huge mistake for one of the teams, spoiler alert, it's the Mavericks, and where we go from here. We'll start by laying out the full details of the trade, and then we'll take a look at each side. In this trade, the Lakers received Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. The Mavericks received Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and one first-round pick, and the Jazz helped facilitate the deal by taking on Jalen Hood-Schifino and 2 second-round picks. We'll begin with the Lakers side of things, and I'll start off by saying that I never ever would have imagined a world where Luka Doncic would get traded. If I were even to dare suggest the idea of Luka getting traded to a Mavericks fan, they would look at me like I had 3 heads and probably call me a lunatic, and you know what? They would probably be justified in doing so. Trading Luka Doncic at 25 years of age, coming off of an NBA Finals appearance, is something only a deranged lunatic would do. And you know, I'm sorry, Nico Harrison, who of course is the general manager of the Mavericks, but it seems as though the shoe fits with you. The Lakers weren't even the ones who proposed this trade either, as Shams Charania says that Harrison was the one who came to the Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka with the offer. So I can only imagine that Pelinka thought it was a prank call at first, and that the first few minutes of the ordeal had to be spent assuring Pelinka that it was in fact him and that he was in fact being serious. Once that was established, it's very obvious why this trade was accepted, because the Lakers have been struggling to figure out a real game plan to shift into after the LeBron James era ends, and now they have one of the best possible solutions to that problem imaginable. LeBron is 40 years old with maybe 1 season left in him, then after that, the Lakers can start to build around what will be a 26-year-old Luka Doncic at the height of his powers, which is inarguably one of the 3 best franchise pillars in the whole league right now. The Lakers haven't been serious contenders in a few years now, with them either landing in the play-in tournament or missing the playoffs altogether every season since their 2020 championship, and even after this trade, it's hard to say that they're right back in championship conversations because Luka hasn't been able to stay healthy this season, but this trade was 100% made with the team's long-term future in mind, and they came away looking absolutely brilliant simply for having a home run of an offer left on their doorstep. As I mentioned before, LeBron's probably going to play 1 more season after this one, and then Luka will be handed the reins to a Lakers franchise that will also just so happen to have maximum cap space, because in 2 years, that also happens to be when pretty much every player on the Lakers except for Austin Reeves and Jared Vanderbilt hit free agency, and one can only imagine how easy it'll be to sell free agents on joining the biggest franchise in the whole league, while also being able to play with one of the league's brightest young stars. This season has been considered a quote-unquote down year by Luka Doncic's standards, and he's still putting up 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists tonight, shooting 46% from the field and 35% from 3, which would be the best season 99% of the rest of the league would ever have. Sure, it's been a bit disappointing seeing this play out of him after making the finals last year, but in no world should it have resulted in this much panic by the Mavericks front office, so the Lakers will happily be benefiting from it and secure their front man for years to come. Now, as we shift our focus over to the Maverick side of things, the positivity ends. I still cannot wrap my head around the fact that they really did this. Mavs general manager Nico Harrison put out this quote after the trade went down that, if I was a Mavericks fan hearing it, would drive me up a wall, saying, quote, "I believe that defense wins championships. I believe that getting all defensive center and an all NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future." The audacity he has to talk about what wins championships when shipping out the only reason the Mavericks returned to relevancy in the first place is so insane. I keep rereading the quote expecting to discover it was posted by The Onion. When Luka Doncic was drafted, the Mavericks were drifting towards irrelevancy, sitting at the bottom of the standings, and he came in pretty much single-handedly rerouted this organization back to the top. For the first 5 years of his career in Dallas, Doncic was pretty much single-handedly carrying them to the playoffs 3 years in a row, leading them to the conference finals that third season with a supporting cast that, let's be real, probably didn't deserve to be there. To make this trade and then laud about how you're doing it because you don't think Luka is a winner is as disgustingly disrespectful as I've ever seen, and honestly, it's completely lacking in self-awareness. Last season was really the first year in the Luka Doncic era that the team actually put together a formidable roster capable of contending at the highest level by trading for players like PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford at the trade deadline, and they immediately went to the NBA Finals, showing what Luka can accomplish with any kind of quality around him and co-star Kyrie Irving. And I'll even take it a step further. There were way better supporting casts in the West last season than what Luka and Kyrie were working with, yet he was the one leading them to represent the West in the finals. Luka is a one-man elite offense who has continually stepped up in big playoff moments and time again shows he's built for the bright lights. With Anthony Davis now on the team, this has got to be the most short-sighted mindset I've ever seen from a general manager, because sure, the Mavericks are going to improve this season with Anthony Davis on the court instead of the alternative, which was being without Luka Doncic due to injury. But it's not like Luka was going to be injured forever. This trade does not make the Mavericks better than the Thunder, it does not make them better than the Celtics, and while of course the team is probably capable of competing hard with a lot of the rest of the teams in contention, this trade literally makes their only goal championship or bust, because Anthony Davis will be 32 by the time the playoffs roll around, and Kyrie Irving is going to be 33. You can act like the weight that Luka Doncic had been putting on was a big deal, you can act worried about his slight dip in production this year, but what you can't do is pretend that Anthony Davis is an established centerpiece of championship contention who never gets injured as the alternative. Anthony Davis is literally out with a foot injury as we speak. They also didn't even get nearly enough draft compensation, as only one first-round pick included in the deal in return is less than what Rudy Gobert was traded for. He's also missed 124 games during his Lakers tenure due to injury. The literal only way to make this trade justifiable is for the Mavericks to win a championship with this core, because otherwise this is about to go down as the worst trade in NBA history. Throwing away a young generational superstar talent on the rise who already accomplished as much as Luka Doncic did by age 24 is a fumble we'll be looking back on and using as a warning of what not to do, and this is the kind of thing that could genuinely lose the Mavericks their fan base. You just don't do this to a young talent that has given his everything to an organization and carried them the way they were from the time that they were at their lowest to now. And if you don't think the rest of the league sees what the Mavericks front office just did and made a mental note of it, you're mistaken, because this is going to hurt the Mavericks' future prospects in a big way too. Overall, the Lakers are set for the future, with the Mavericks having made themselves public enemy number one, forcing themselves into championship or bust mode for pretty much no reason, and I still can't believe this is a real timeline that we're living in. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about this insane trade. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.